Angelica Graswald has been at New York State Police Barracks for several hours, eating pizza, smoking, and downward dogging into the night. But investigators are frustrated because the one thing she hasn't done is confess the way they say she did on Bannerman's Island. Is that about to change?
By taking that plug out, you killed Vinny, correct?
Correct.
And you wanted that to happen, correct?
Correct.
Angelica, the reality is this. You killed Vinny, right?
You need a statement.
What is it?
I wanted him dead, and now he's gone. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that.
Is that the admission they've been waiting for?
Well, Angelica, here's the thing, okay? Is that when somebody's dead, there's a certain level of accountability that we all have to take, right?
Yes. And I'm going to jail?
Tonight?
Yes.
I'd say it's a pretty good possibility, yes. I mean, you knew that, right? When you came here?
I know.
But even though she's headed to the slammer, she suddenly seems much more concerned about someone else.
What about that?
We will take care of your cat, I promise you that.
Okay, get my cat
Okay.
and give him to me. Bring him to me.
Your cat can't come with you.
Over the next few hours, Angelica passes the time writing, stretching, meditating, and unbelievably playing hopscotch. Then the time for kids' games is up.
At the end of the questioning, is she charged?
She's charged with murder in the second degree.
When Vince's mother, Mary Ann Villafor, learns Angelica's been arrested for her son's murder, she's in complete shock.
I said, she did what? And they told me that she caused his death. And it was just mind-boggling. I couldn't believe it.
Police have the person they believe is responsible for Vince's death, but they still don't have his body. Then an agonizing 34 days after Vince Villafor's kayak capsized, his badly decomposed body is recovered. Officials need dental records to make a proper identification.
They found him. He was right near Bannerman's Island. We couldn't have a wake. He was in the water too long.
New York State Police have found Vince, and they have his alleged confessed killer locked up for second-degree murder. But even with all that, they still have to be able to prove everything in court. So they start with investigating some unanswered questions, like why did Vince agree to go kayaking that day in 46-degree waters?
Did he tell anyone he was going kayaking?
Oh yeah, one or two of his friends told him, "What are you, crazy? This is cold. You shouldn't be going. Don't go kayaking."
But he was set on going. She was set on going.
Yeah, I think she made it very, very appealing to him, obviously, for them to go out there that day.
What did she do to make it appealing?
From what we know today, you know, she brought out some clothing that she dressed up in, and they took pictures, and she was wearing her sexy lingerie.
Next, investigators need to be able to prove what Angelica allegedly said she did was even possible. Could a kayak sink from a missing drain plug? Moscato and DeQuarto take me through their theory of what happened.
So here's the plug here, and it's maybe the size of a nickel. It takes seconds to take off. We ran a number of tests on it, and surprisingly, even to us, that little hole, no bigger than the size of a nickel, takes on water to the point consistently within 7 to 10 minutes with a person of the body weight of Vincent Villafor in there with all this in here on a calm river. On a calm river, it sinks without fail. And we did repeated tests on it. We did it with the plug, we did it without the plug. We also tried to do it with creating 3-foot waves. We did it in still water. We did it a number of different ways. And the end results, in our opinion, speak for themselves.
What about the paddles?
This is a safety ring. And what this does is when you put the paddles together, the safety ring, you tighten down and it squeezes the paddle together and it holds the paddle together. When we located the paddle, this safety ring was missing. And we didn't know anything about that till she said, well, the clip was off his paddle. We also did the experiment with the paddles. We did it with the clip on, with the clip off. And we had kayak experts paddling with those paddles, and by their own admissions, without having that clip on there, it's extremely difficult to paddle in calm water, let alone having wind and 1, 2, 3 foot swells in the Hudson River.
Again, this is investigators' version of what happened. Cops also investigate the timing of Angelica's 911 call.
Hold on, baby! Oh my God. I can't see him anymore. I'm afraid. I'm afraid he's down.
At the time, it appeared that this man was essentially dying in front of her and there was nothing she could do.
Absolutely. We later find out that it was probably a good 15 minutes after he had gone down under the frigid waters that she even makes that call.
That's their timeline of events. Investigators also learn more that might point to motive. The insurance policy Angelica could cash in on is worth nearly $500,000. The other beneficiaries are Vince's mother and sister. And there's something else.
They were supposed to get married. Vinny put it off a little bit, and we also had found out during the investigation through the friends that Vinny had given her kind of an ultimatum. You better get yourself a job by the end of the month or else you're out of this apartment. So she had to hurry up and come up with a plan.
And if there was still any doubt for investigators, during a search, cops find 2 important items in her car.
The plug, as well as the O-ring that holds together the paddles.
You found the plug.
Absolutely.
And that ring.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it matched what she was saying.
She was spot on with that.
Cops believe all this paints a diabolical picture.
In my opinion, it was premeditated. How can you not come to that conclusion?
But there's someone who says do not jump to that conclusion, or any others.
It's the furthest thing from a confession.
Coming up.
11 hours. Never did they ever say you confessed on the island, which is why we know it never happened, and they made it up. They heard she was going to the island, and they set on her, I mean, like a pack of wolves. There were 3 armed male senior investigators, and they pulled her to an isolated spot, and they beat her up emotionally